So for all of you guys out there who are reeling from recent events that occurred within the so-called sector of YouTube, a particular sector of YouTube, I won't go into too much details about that. I actually hinted on that a bit in my last video, which, of course, since I didn't put names in and I didn't use the easy way to gossip about people, it's only about 250 views in. But the reason why my videos usually do that low is probably for another reason I'll explain today. What am I going to talk about today? A rule within the so-called community. And yes, the community has rules, particularly rules that are called codes. Being on code. You gotta be on code for this. You gotta be on code for that. Otherwise you're considered an educated lame and a cornball and a coon and whatever. Anyway, as far as this is concerned, the recent video that is an example of this is LAR Movement's video, Black Male Competence is Not Sexy. And to be honest, he's absolutely right. Black male competence is not considered sexy at all. It's not considered marketable. It's not considered the end thing, especially since the 2000s. And the reason why it hasn't been considered an end thing is because of swag. Yes, people, swag. Swag which the straggle-daggle who is yet to define what swag truly is, that has been the standard of what society expects for black men at large. And if you have that swag, even if you imitate that swag, you still get to be considered as having swag. And what is this all for exactly? This is what I like to call the swag pass. What is a swag pass? Well, it's simple. The swag pass is basically the leniency that a lot of people, particularly those within the community and society at large, gives to those who ooze this stereotypical image of what you're expected to be as a black man in America. Granted, if you don't have this swag, you risk several things, including alienation, isolation, ostracization, or just being left out in a lot of things. Not being seen as confident, not being seen as sexy enough, not being seen as good or worthy enough in the eyes of certain individuals. We see it all the time in multiple places in America, including the community. The former corpse of the rotten so-called black man. We all know what it is. But as far as the community, getting the breaks, we all know when it comes to individuals, particularly when we grew up in certain communities, who would get all sorts of breaks from doing dumb crap all the time. You see all these individuals who end up getting taken care of by the cops or by society at large or the justice system. And you would think that a lot of these individuals were just one-time offenders, according to the pro-wax. But to be honest, that's not the truth. A lot of these individuals who get caught up and see their day in court were victims of the swag pass. These were the people who got off all the time, whether it's from people around them, their friends, their family, or just the community at large. These were the individuals who constantly get into fights that they start or get into drama that they start. And at worst, they get the Fisher-Price hammer. Oh yeah, you're suspended for like 1 or 2 days, or oh my goodness, you don't get an allowance. Lo and behold, a few days later, they're right back in the society, in the community, in the graces of the community. In some cases, they're even praised. The swag pass for you people. Compared to those who may not have enough swag and may get into trouble once. And they get all sorts of punishments. Punishments even worse than what the dominant society would have given them. Also, handouts, hookups, and helps. We all know how a lot of pro-acts will tell you, we need to go back to the community. We need to help these young kids and these, well, let's just be honest, Pookie and Ray Ray and Shaniqua's kids, aka Bebe's kids. We need to help them and bail them out. And yeah, a lot of these people do go back to help the kids who stay in trouble. It's always the kids who are one step away from being in juvie or one sneaking out of the house away from being knocked up that these pro-wax and these communitists, who always want to help. It's never the thinking black kids, especially thinking black boys, that they want to help out. Nah, they're on their own. They were able to do it so far, so whatever. They don't need the help. They don't need the attention. Or better yet, they're the ones who are going to leave anyway and go to the white community and marry Becky and live in the suburbs. So why should we help them? They're little coons in the making. That's the real message when a lot of these pro-whacks tell you to go back and help. They don't want you to help kids with potential. They want you to help kids who are getting themselves into trouble. Because you know why? They have the swag pass. When it comes to women dating, we all know how the swag pass works. Let's not even get into that. You can, whatever. Responsibility and expectations. As far as the responsibility and expectations are concerned, those who ooze with this so-called swag, notice how a lot of expectations go out the window. As they say, they make rules for betas and break rules for alphas. A lot of these expectations that these individuals, these women, especially these daggles, put on thinking black men, competent black men, that 90-day rule is a lot of people want to reference, that goes out the window. Those dates, wasted time where thinking black men can be doing something else more productive or someone else more productive. Instead, a lot of that, when you have swag, a lot of that becomes the 90-minute rule. As long as you have swag for 90 minutes or even less, you're good to go. You're in more ways than one. Granted, a lot of that can cost you down the line, which we'll even get into that for a bit, but all you need is 90 minutes worth of swag and quote-unquote mouthpiece and just the image in order to get with a lot of these daggles. And I heard someone else say that, well, it's because of the lower expectations and a lot of these women aren't looking for a relationship and they don't want the expectations that thinking men... Look, thinking men biologically are the same as Pookie and Ray Ray. All this is about the image. These daggles want the image. And those who at the very least imitate that image, they get the swag pass. Everyone else, you have to follow these rules. These unrealistic, overinflated rules. That's all it is. And even when it comes to birth, who these daggles give birth to. A lot of these daggles will give birth to those who have swag, or at least those who have a swag pass. These are the kids who the community is giving birth to and is raising and is quote-unquote given a chance to, while a lot of these thinking black boys and thinking black girls even, a lot of them, they're the ones that the daggles are aborting. Let's just be honest. That's my hypothesis. And the main reason why is because, and this doesn't happen just in the community, this is happening all across America now where, you know, the alpha rux beta bucks thing is being literally practiced to the point in which you're having the alpha seed, but you want the beta need, and you end up cuckolding a lot of these guys into raising these kids. We saw an example in England where a billionaire was cuckolded for, what, decades? He raised children up to their, teens and 20s, and didn't know any of those kids weren't his. So, this is a societal thing. And I honestly believe that if society was different, if the reverse was true, we would be in space by now. But no, after thousands of years of civilization, you're telling me the best we can do is just fly a rocket up to the moon and fly a satellite up to Mars every 10 years? Are you kidding me? That is because of the mating selection, aka the swag pass. When it comes to child support, we also see how those who have swag get a pass. They're not the ones who usually have to answer to their baby mama in order to pay child support. It's always the man who works, the man who's trying to get by, the man who wants to take care of his kids. These women will use child support as a weapon because for some reason he didn't do what she wanted, or he was like, I can't stand you, but I love the kid. It happens all the time. You think these Pookies and Ray Rays with the swag pass are paying all this child support and that's what's keeping them poor? Please. Also, you got the men out here, especially your mediocre Negroes who give swag pass or seek swag pass in order to have a good positioning within the community. Obviously, we see how mediocre Negroes seek out those who either have swag or those who imitate swag as those individuals they want to befriend, or at the very least individuals they want to be cool with. We also see how a lot of these mediocre Negroes who are too weak to stand on their own 2 feet will do things in order to not get teased or tested, aka emulate and imitate swag, trying to get just enough of a swag pass so that the greater community at large doesn't isolate and alienate and bully them. A lot of these individuals, yeah, they've even had stories on YouTube in which they try to fit in and try to be down and get down, all this other kind of stuff, and to be honest, even individuals I respect, I have to say, that's pretty damn pathetic. Pathetic to the point where a lot of you guys who know better will dumb yourselves down just in order to get a chance with some sort of daggle, or just to get a chance to hang out with the popular kids. How pathetic is that? We need to call it out for what it is. Swag pass. Trying to get a swag pass. And yeah, there are those who rose above it and paid the price. But let's be honest, the latter are usually better off in the long run. Also, YouTube views and donations. We see those YouTube channels who tend to emulate, or if not actually have, that hood swag to them, get a lot more attention than those that don't. That's just as simple as that. And I'm not saying those who have more of a street vernacular to them or more of a street sense to them are necessarily those who are trying to have a swag pass. They could have just been raised with them. And those, I'm like, alright, whatever. But there are those out there who know better. There are those out there who take it to the next level. And there are those out there who just, quite frankly, dumb themselves down to the lowest common denominator in order to just get the most views, the most subs, and the most YouTube money. Let's just be honest. When certain people are talking about certain things, when it comes to chicanery and things that are in the realm of swag, they get a lot more attention than when they talk about stuff that is actually beneficial to them. This swag pass also translates to the mainstream media where for the past 20 to 30 years we have seen what kind of black men the mainstream media at large wants to portray, wants to be seen by the entire world. And that is this stereotypical bumbling fool who probably didn't have a father in his life and basically dumbs himself down, whether on purpose or because of his upbringing, but he has swag. A swag pass. We've seen all of these images and where roles in Hollywood and on TV have shifted from a black man who is actually articulate but still has his masculinity to a bumbling stereotype who basically sounds like slavery just ended yesterday or he just got from doing a rap video shoot. We all know the kind of images that the media forces on us, as well as in the athletic world. What kind of athletes get the most shine? Is it those who have no drama off the field? Is it those who have a wife and kids or is living his life, is minding his own business and staying out of trouble? Or is it those who have constant issues on and off the field, have multiple baby mamas to deal with? You know, the list goes on. There's a simple reason why the swag pass is given to a lot of these individuals. The swag pass is given mainly because that is what society wants as a whole, particularly this American society. The United States of America, for some reason, thinks that the best thing it can do for its citizens, particularly its weak-minded citizens, is to put this image of this mediocre Negro or bumbling buffoon as the standard image of black men. Because, as Ron Wills stated, there are certain beliefs that a lot of people will bury themselves into, to the point in which, if it's broken, it could literally kill them. As far as this image of the mediocre Negro and the Pookie and Ray Ray, this is the image that a lot of Americans are comfortable with. You have to sound basically like a stereotype. And you have to sound like this, and you have to talk like this, and you gotta have swag, man. Nah, man, you gotta conform, coon and buffoon and buck dance and like trap rap and do all this kind of stuff, because that is what swag is about, and that's what gives you the swag pass. But if you sound like a cornball and educated lame, nah, man, you can't get enough views with that. No one's gonna pay attention to you with that, man. You know, I don't talk about, man, I gotta wear snapbacks and the hooded and the fitted and all this other kind of stuff that I've been told that a society wants, because society's safe like that. See, so I ain't a threat to no one in society. Yeah, you got a bunch of non-blacks and alt-writers who complain and moan and bitch about IQ, and see, that's what the IQ is. The average IQ of the Negro is like 55. But you know what? I sound like a 55 IQ Negro, because you know what? In reality, I'm afraid. I'm afraid. I scared. I scary of getting the attention of these alt-writers and these leftists, feminists, whoever, hipster leftists, because if I sounded like I was competent, then they would be on my case, because I'm going out of the matrix of what I've been programmed to talk about. So I have to keep it down like this in order to not offend anybody. In the community, let's not talk about the community. The community doesn't want to look themselves in the mirror and look how far backwards they've gone ever since the 1970s with welfare. They'll tell you it's integration, but in reality, nah, man, it's welfare state, because a couple of people didn't put in the welfare state and feminism at the same time as integration in order for people to down the line in the future blame integration and use that as a smoke mirror instead of looking at the real things that cause the downfall of society, like feminism and the welfare state. Nah, that's integration, man. We need to resegregate like the pro-wax said. Nah, me, her, short. I can go on all day like this, and I bet a lot of you would probably listen to me if I sounded more like this, short. And I don't mean, man, look, I'm from the streets, B. That is what they expect from black men. Not for you to sound like you're confident, not for you to assimilate. They don't want blacks to assimilate, because if they did, that would show that blacks, particularly black men, are as human as anyone else. And blacks being human as anyone else would ruin a lot of the images that a lot of these alt-writers and other individuals whose nightmare it is for blacks to be seen as human. Thinking black men, but let's be honest, we do not make a lot of people comfortable. It's beyond the fact that we're boring, or we're bland, or we don't have swag, or we don't have a swag pass. It's beyond that. It's the fact that we make a lot of people, even those within the community, uncomfortable to the point in which, if the thinking black men image became mainstream, besides the fact that we would actually be a force to be reckoned with within the SMP in the United States, which would piss a lot of people off. A lot of people just feel comfortable dealing with black men who aren't up there, who have double-digit IQs, who are irresponsible, are oozing with swag. Because, quite frankly, it makes themselves feel better about their miserable, or at best mediocre, existence. Trust me, if the image of the black man changed overnight, or even changed slowly, if the media for some reason wanted to do that, there would be riots on the street. You don't believe me? When a lot of black men try to do right, that's when a lot of what we call white supremacists rise. they don't rise to the stereotypes. They may talk trash about them. They may say that, look, that proves all black men have low IQs. But in the end, they're comfortable with it. Because, one, it proves their belief right. And two, it makes them feel better about them being mediocre. They don't want the real smoke. They don't want thinking black men to become the standard image. Because to be honest, if the thinking black man became the standard image in America, I honestly believe that a good part of this country, just like the late George Carlin stated about, if America demanded honesty and stopped with bullshit, that this country, a lot of it, would simply collapse. And quite frankly, we can't have that. At least not just yet. Everyone else out there, always bet on X.